Okay, so for those of you joining us, either on Happy Hour with Heather and Guest or A Fistful of Faceful, I am joined by Don from Ghost Horizon. It's a great to have you on the show.
Hey, nice to meet you. It's Dan, by the way.
Sorry, geez, I'm so sorry. As I was saying it, I knew I was like something's wrong. And I was like, is it the name the band? Please don't be the band name. Okay, Dan. Yes, so I'm with Dan. I don't know why. Okay, yeah, that's completely my fault. And
No biggie, man.
if I were more of a pro, I would just start this over. But it's fun to keep the when I screw things up. So, but either way, I listened to the latest record, um, which is called hold on, The Punishment of Life, which is out July 9th, so a couple days. Um, and yeah, I know currently the band you're pretty much a multi-instrumentalist and
Yeah.
vocalist along with a drummer,
hmm
but that lineup may change in the future.
Yeah. I've been doing it this way for a while, and I think it's kind of come to the point where I want to do something a little bit different. I have other musicians that I talk to and work with here and there, and I have someone in mind for whatever's coming in the future, and I think it'll be a fresh change. It'll be similar enough that I don't think it'll really alienate anyone, but it'll be different enough that it's like, oh, that's different. So that's kind of what I'm going for.
Yeah, I mean, and plus I would imagine as you go back to playing live gigs or stuff like that, it'll be easier to fill out the sound with more musicians.
Yeah, that's definitely a tricky part of it is trying to get people that I mean it's not really super technical music or anything, so the technical aspect is not uh too too hard to fulfill. It's just just the sheer matter of getting people together is challenging.
Sure. Yeah, I think, people never really take into consideration. There was a great documentary film that I once showed in one of my classes during a music appreciation club that I'd formed, and it was called A Hired Gun, and it was about all these session and studio musicians. And I remember Alice Cooper was interviewed, and he said, the most important thing, he said, hey, there are tons of people out there who can play their instruments really well, but who do you want to spend 20 hours a day with? And
Yeah,
who are you going to get into an argument about whether or not they ate your peanut butter? So
right.
I remember
Yeah,
telling all my students, as much as you guys want to go home and practice, remember getting along with people and being empathetic is just as if not more important.
yeah.
Um,
I
but
agree.
yeah,
I think that's part of the reason why it's been like this for so long is because I'm kind of a tyrant when it comes to just how the music is put together and like what I'm trying to achieve with it. And I do clash with people quite a bit. And so the person who I do have in mind and bringing into this, I won't really like announce anything just yet, but who I do want to bring on board, we have a pretty good we work together pretty well.
yeah, I mean I think there's always going to be a give and take to any working relationship you have with people. But if you found someone who, the majority of the time, even if you butt heads, it ends up producing something great, and you can work well together, then that's worth its weight in gold.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
that's good. So the latest album, Punishment of Life, is was recorded just you and the drummer you have currently. You'll probably continue to evolve in future performances and recordings. Um, One thing I was going to say is, black metal or melodic black metal, atmospheric black metal, whatever, isn't really necessarily my wheelhouse. Um, but one thing I really enjoyed about your album was how melodic it was. I think a lot of people have the misconception when they hear black metal that it's just going to be very dissonant.
Yeah.
And And I think one thing I'd like to do one thing I try to do with this podcast is try to sort of show people, especially if I have guests, they always come in with the expectation that metal is going to be really, inaccessible to them. And that's one thing I really enjoyed about The Punishment of Life was the fact that you were blending a lot of different sort of elements into it. They're for the purists who really like that style of music, there's enough for them. But at the same time, there's a lot of, I don't want to say experimentation, but there's enough new stuff to kind of get a bunch of different people involved. So if you're on the fence and you're out there and you're wondering, should I dabble in, black metal of any sort? I would give you an enthusiastic yes. Pick up The Punishment of Life when it comes out July 9th and expand your horizons. So yeah, I wanted to say that just right off the bat that it's a great album. It's only 6 songs, I think. So it's but each song works really well, sort of in conjunction.
I appreciate you saying that. It's really hard to strike a balance somewhere in there, and that's kind of what I've tried to do with this band ever since I started. It was try to have something of that balance. And yeah, it is difficult because you have some people that are new to metal or maybe just black metal. I feel like this is potentially good for people that are, trying to get into black metal because it's not quite as like abrasive maybe as typical black metal. But at the same time, I really do like abrasive,
Sure.
quote unquote, typical black metal. I like that a lot. So it's
Yeah,
kind of like I'm kind of like interjecting what I like into it, and hopefully it's somewhat accessible to people that may not really be into black metal typically.
well, I think you've managed to strike a great balance. There are certainly elements to it that I think people who are really into the abrasive side of music will enjoy. And then there's sort of pockets of really sort of melodic, atmospheric elements to it that are really sort of a great counterbalance. But at no point did I ever think any of it was overwhelming. Like I never thought, okay, this is going too far in this direction. So so for me, coming in as somebody who's not as familiar, it was sort of a great gateway into, because now I have the desire to go and see, like, check out all this other stuff that I feel like I've missed.
Cool.
So
Yeah, I think I feel like that's a good thing. There's a lot of, I know, black metal fans out there where they'll hear this and they'll pass on it in probably the first 30 seconds that they listen to it because it's not 100% balls out black metal. And if it's not, then it's just not black metal to a lot of people. And I tend to disagree. I think I'm somewhere in the middle of the spectrum. I don't hate bands like Deafheaven. I don't love bands like Deafheaven so much, but I do see the merit in kind of going in that direction. And it's cool. It's exploring something different. So
well, yeah, I mean, I think one thing I would say, and granted, I don't really have so many bands that I can compare it to, but I would say that what you're doing is unique in terms of trying to bring something new to it. That being said, I also read about the recording process, which I wanted to bring up. Now that essentially that was done, the vocals were done in one take.
Yeah, they're pretty much everything is one shot on this. It's not really, I wasn't like playing and singing at the same time or anything like that, but it was all kind of just like one and done for the most part.
Now,
So
yeah, I'm sorry, go on.
I was just trying to, I guess like that aspect of it in particular is very black metal, trying to kind of like, it's not purposely trying to make it sound like crap or anything, but it's like I'm trying not to polish it very much. I don't want it to sound super polished. That's one of my complaints about metal or maybe just music in general is that it's super polished and it tends to just sound like overworked. Like I don't know how to explain it.
No, I know exactly what you mean. Like you're a lot of it I feel also is like, a really great looking car that has really bad gas in it, so it can't run
Yeah,
well. So
right.
it's sort of like you can overdo it. Um, I think I was curious to know sort of what the choices were behind recording it like that, and that
Mm.
makes complete sense to me. I think, sort of doing it more as a throwback to the way it used to be done, recording everything in one take, or without using like Pro Tools to try and fix, certain
Well,
things.
it's kind of like the music itself, where it's like I'm trying to strike a balance. I'm trying to do that with the production a little bit too, because I do take care in recording a lot of it. I mean, I had a decent amp and nice microphone setup and everything, and I was in my studio that I had at the time, and I used all that like modern equipment and technology, I guess, kind of like put it together. But uh, yeah, I didn't really. There's a lot more that I could have done, I guess, to make the production really polished and everything. But I decided to kind of forego that because I feel like you lose some of the emotion sometimes. You lose some of that kind of just the grit, I guess, for lack of a better term. And I kind of wanted to maintain that as much as I could in in doing this. So that's
Yeah, I would say that you achieved that goal, because the record sounds good, but it doesn't sound overdone. Um, so I think you were able to strike a balance between the dark and light aspects of it, between the way it sounds and how you were trying to record it. Um, without it sounding like, it wasn't like you purposefully tried to make
yeah,
it sound,
yeah, not going for the Fisher Price
right,
recorder sound.
right. But I think, for especially, my guess is, most of this, it would seem like you're doing the majority of the heavy lifting. Um, either with the production or the playing of the instruments or the writing of the music. So it geez, I forgot what I was going to say. I thought I had a really great point, and then it just went out the window. But yeah, no, I mean, I enjoyed listening to the album. The way, and sort of going back and finding out that it was recorded that way, it sort of added another layer to it, where I was like, wow, okay, that's great. That what he hasn't manipulated this to get it to where it needs to be.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, we did some of the basic stuff, like we did basic mixing and whatnot, but we didn't really get too crazy with like manipulating. Like I don't like doing that because I just feel like it's not honest. I know a lot of people manipulate vocals a lot, and like these vocals obviously have reverb and whatnot on it, but there's nothing like pitch shifting or anything like that to try to kind of tweak it, polish it, make it sound really good. I just don't like that. And like when bands don't do that, then I feel the same way about them when they release something. I'm like, oh, that's cool that they didn't do all that extra polishing and trying to make it sound better, I guess. I like the live sound. You can get that energy from it where it's like it was kind of in that moment, and that's what you get.
Yeah. Well, it's I remember I remember once reading about the first few albums that Kiss recorded, and the goal that they were always going for is they wanted to try and find a way to record what they sounded like live. They
Yeah.
didn't want it to be like a studio sound, and I remember
Mhm.
that always sort of stuck with me.
Yeah.
Not that I'm involved in any production or playing or anything these days, but I just remember that concept seemed like a very good way to do everything. Find
Yeah.
the way to make it
And
sound.
for me, I kind of pulled my influence from Led Zeppelin because
Oh,
I remember reading something similar. It was like an interview with Jimmy Page or something, and they're talking about how they would just leave mistakes in there, and
Hmm.
it was to give it more of a human feel. It's like this is not just like a machine that's creating this music. It's somebody playing an instrument, and that person's not perfect. And I I think that it's a small thing, and some people probably hate it because they're like, this should be you should put more effort into making it sound perfect. And like I can see where they're coming from, but I really enjoy that human aspect in recordings.
Yeah, well, there is a tendency, I think, to try and find like the perfect rendition of it, and then, but as you get closer to perfection, it does begin to sound more machine-like. And
Well, and everybody can do it nowadays, and that is the norm. The norm is to spend a lot of time and make it sound as good as possible, and there's nothing wrong with that. But everybody does that too, so it's like you're not you're not really setting yourself apart by making it sound super perfect. Everybody sounds super perfect, so I don't know. It seems like an easier way to kind of set yourself apart a little bit, and I don't
yeah,
know.
that
People might hate it.
well, no, I mean, that being said, it's not like the album is full of, wrong notes or mistakes, or it's just the feel to it. Like it feels a certain way. It doesn't feel like it came out of a computer. Um, so that I really, it was one of those things. Again, coming into it, I didn't really know what to expect, and then I sort of discovered like, oh, this music is different from what I anticipated, and then going back and realizing, oh, and it was recorded in a way that I really dig. I'm going to go back and listen to it again now that I sort of know that. So I
Yeah.
think there's
Cool.
a lot, like I'm probably going to go back and listen to the record a couple more times because now I sort of know a little bit more than the previous time, and I feel like there's more for me to unpack in there to kind of discover. Um,
Cool.
Not to mention, I ended up liking the, expanding my musical appreciation now, so I can
That's awesome.
add some more black metal to it.
Well, I love hearing that. That's cool.
Good, good. Yeah, no. So obviously the album comes out on the 9th, and you're continuing to sort of think about moves for the future with the band. Do you have new music you're working on, or performances coming up, or anything
Uh,
scheduled?
we have a little bit that we're working on. It's kind of just here and there. Life is crazy, You got to figure out a way to kind of balance everything. But yeah, we're working on some new stuff. As far as shows go, I don't think that that's probably going to be. I have done shows, couple with Ghost Horizon in the past. But like I said, it's so hard getting people together and kind of organizing a lot of this stuff. So if there's not relatively large demand to do it, then I'm probably just not going to do it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I completely understand.
Yeah.
I
But
I
never say never.
no, no, no. I mean, and who knows? But yeah, these days, especially, um, with just trying to get people together anyway can be difficult. Let alone as a pandemic is beginning to recede. Uh,
Yeah.
you know, but that's, I mean, it's great. The album sounds great. Ghost Horizon, Punishment of Life is going to be out on the 9th. You've got some news coming up about the band within the next foreseeable future. You've got some new stuff you're hopefully working on. So the future looks bright. And for those of you out there, definitely pick up this album when it comes out on the 9th. You can probably pre-order it, my
Yep.
guess.
Yep.
And
Pre-order on Bandcamp. I think iTunes. It's gonna be everywhere. All the typical places.
and follow Ghost Horizon on social media, so you're up to speed on the latest happenings. But yeah, I would suggest, especially if you're hesitant about getting into black metal, this is definitely a great album for you to start with. At least that's my recommendation. And it's just great music. You'll have fun listening to it. So pick it up. But yeah, it's been great catching up with you, and good luck with everything.
Thank you.
And we will certainly be in touch.
All right. Thank you very much.
You got it. Take care.
All right. Bye bye.